Hello, everybody. Dom Tiberi joined by Timmy Hall, 97.1 The Fan. You hear this man daily, well, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8, the Buckeye Show. All right, just real quick, your take, and we'll talk about Coach Day. First of all, I just want to say this. Everyone's like saying, oh, the play calling. Well, we could debate the play calling. Oh, the team was too tight. We can debate that. With all that said, Timmy, to me it came down to 4 plays. You simply cannot throw interceptions in the game of this magnitude, and you have to make your field goals. If Will Howard doesn't get picked off twice, and if they make their field goals, Ohio State wins this game.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. There's more than that, though. I think we can debate it. And I think we can talk about play calling, and we can talk about an offense that just looked and felt timid when they haven't been that way in the last few football games. And it came down to trying to follow a script that just wasn't going to work. That was maybe the only script that wasn't going to work, which was taking, I'm not going to say that running the football is a weakness of Ohio State's, but the interior of the defensive line for Michigan was definitely their strength, and their secondary, without having Will Johnson healthy, was not. And Ohio State's always had multiple first-round talents at the same time in the wide receiver room, and I think they got 3 in Carnell Tate, Emeka Egbuka, and Jeremiah Smith, certainly right now, and they just weren't able to utilize those guys in the second half. As much as you say about the missed field goals, obviously, that's the thing.
They should have been touchdowns.
It shouldn't have ever been that close. I thought running the ball on 3rd and 10 from the 16-yard line in the red zone that led to that missed field goal was shocking to me, that you don't even take a shot at the end zone, try throwing it to Jeremiah Smith for another defensive pass interference, and to have a 12 men on the field penalty after a timeout that pretty much evaporated another minute of clock, which for a timid offense, I think could have given them a lot more time to focus and come up with something better on that final drive, which they only had, 40 seconds for with no timeouts?
Obviously, Ryan Day has now lost 4 in a row to him.
Yeah.
And Ross Bjork, the new athletic director, came out and issued some comments saying that he still supports Coach Day, believes that the program is going in the right direction, says that his job now is to support the players and support the coaches. With that said, Ryan Day is going to be the coach for the foreseeable future. Do you think he needs to take a look at the way they're doing things? What do you think he needs to address first? Because the important thing to remember, folks, is yes, they lost to Michigan. Yes, they're not going to the Big Ten title game, but they're going to be in the playoff, and they still have a shot to win the national title, Timmy.
They have a shot to win the national championship, but Dom, it just feels weird, doesn't it? It feels off. It feels like Buckeye Nation and the fans of this football team are mystified right now, and there's a fracture. There is a clear fracture in the fan base when you can't beat Michigan, and we're not just talking about Michigan being 11-0. And you winning some and losing some, and you lose some great games. That Michigan has been better.
6-5.
They've been better here recently. We could talk about some of those, but when it's 4 in a row on the line and you are catching Michigan when they are bad, average to a bad football team, and you have everything riding on this, we've heard the comments, right? We've heard the bravado from Ohio State's side. This was just a game you could not afford to lose. And I understand how Ross Bjork is the athletics director. He's going to say something like that when you are going into the playoffs, albeit you're backing in to the college football playoff. And I don't know how this team is going to perform once they're there. They've got opportunity, but I have no idea how they're actually going to perform if this is going to wound them to the point where they can't recover. Or maybe now they are going to have their minds opened up and more freed up to play and let her rip. I think that's the thing. We haven't seen this offense let her rip, and that does start with the coaching staff and that mentality and where it goes. So Ross works for the board, and you know how college football goes, Dom, and how Ohio State's funded. It comes down to donor support, and if things don't roll their way in the college football playoff, I would say, whatever Ross Bjork's statement was, everything is going to be on the table with where they go and what they do. Don't you agree?
Well, I mean, you look at the financials and everything. I think they would have to pay him over 37,000
million.
30,
yeah,
not
a little more than 1,000. Yeah, he
million.
makes that by lunchtime.
But you're talking about a guy that's winning percentage is only second to Urban Meyer.
But if Boy feels a lot different than the Urban Meyer tenure, does it not? It's
Urban,
a lot different.
Urban was 7-0 against that team.
Yeah. And this is 1-4 now.
I mean, I think Ryan does a great job recruiting, and I understand it's what have you done for me? What have you done for me? I feel terrible for him, and no one wanted to win more than he did. No one wants to win more than those seniors. They're heartbroken.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but it was like Ohio State was going to show everyone how tough they were. And they were going to go right into the teeth of Michigan's defense.
And they didn't have an offensive line that was equipped to play it that way with the injuries.
I'll just tell you this much. Weird things happen in a football game. And we have seen it not only with Ryan Day and this time. I remember when Urban didn't run Zeke in the second half against Michigan State, and everyone's going like, "What? What happened? What's going on?" Zeke called him out, remember? And
absolutely, he did.
And
yeah, that was a crazy night. It felt a lot like that.
Yeah, well, this year has been one of the weirdest years. It's probably the weirdest year I've ever seen in college football. Yeah. I mean, look at what Georgia had to do to beat Georgia Tech. I mean, did you see that coming?
No, I didn't.
Did you see Vanderbilt beating Alabama? Did you see Alabama losing the other day the way? I mean, it's just the parody's real. But for whatever reason, Ohio State played right into Michigan's hands.
They did.
Michigan's strength was defense. Their offense was. Yeah. And I go back to the four.
And why?
I go back to the four plays. That interception deep in Ohio State's territory and allowed Michigan to get on the 2-yard line. They don't score a touchdown if they don't get that.
Yeah.
So there's 7 points right there.
Absolutely.
You got to make your field goals. But I don't want to blame the field goal kicker. The wind was swirling and it was whatever.
Well, Michigan's kicker hit from 55.
I know, he made it, whatever. But here's the bottom line.
You need to pay attention to the kicking.
You got to be scoring touchdowns. You've got to score touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, you've got to let your offense rip.
I asked you originally,
and they did not do that.
I think Ryan Day and he'll probably meet with Ross, but they got to do some soul searching on some things and see what needs to change.
Yeah,
because
if it even comes down to that, which I do, I think it's a little thing called you'll see with what happens there. It's gonna come down to the performance in this playoff.
The amazing thing is, as down in the dumps Buckeye Nation is, as down in the dumps as Coach Day is and the players are, this Sunday they're going to find out that they're in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully hosting a first-round game. And the main goal, the number one goal, you ask me, would I rather beat Michigan or win a national championship? I want to win a national championship. I mean, do I want to be Michigan now at what are they? They're 7-5?
Yeah, they're 7-5.
And not in the playoff, but they beat Ohio State? Or do I want to see Ohio State go? I mean, that dream is still there. And so
here's the thing.
You got to rally around this team, I would hope.
You have been in this town covering Buckeye football for was that your 43rd game?
43rd.
43 years. You understand that better than anybody in this entire town, Dom. And when this playoff expanded to 12 teams, everybody started to fear and started to say how, this is taking away everything that's great about college football. The game's not going to matter as much as it did because you might see him again in the Big Ten championship game. You could see him again in the college football playoff. I think how we're feeling in the quick aftermath, and yes, of course you're going to rally and you're going to be excited when the Buckeyes do get their spot in the college football playoff, but none of that really matters just yet. And I think that shows you the sanctity of the game, how much it means. I'm not even sure. I'm still searching for answers because Urban put a heck of a lot of stock into this rivalry and all the traditions around it. And Ryan Day had the comment to you about he likened losing to Michigan. as rough as losing his father, which is a wild statement coming from him. But I've thought maybe they're making too much of a deal out of it. I'm not saying to take less from the Michigan game, but maybe there's some searching that needs to happen there for how you prepare for it. I don't know.
This is going to be sacrilege, but I'm going to say what it is.
You're going to say it.
I'm going to say it because you have to. We are witnessing the professionalism of college football. To think that it is not is to be naive. These kids are making money. They're making $2 million in some cases.
That's absolutely a fact.
It is the professionalism of college football, and it is following more and more the NFL model.
Absolutely.
And in the NFL, you don't win all your games. You don't win your rivalry games sometimes. Pittsburgh and the Browns are playing this week. That's a rivalry game. I don't know.
Brownies got him in the snow.
Browns got him just around the
last
corner.
Week,
and but you know what? They want to beat them, but the thing is, the ultimate prize is winning the national title. And college now, that's the ultimate prize. In the NFL, it's about winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, you might have bumps in the road, but you can't lose sight of the big picture. And that's where we're heading, Tim.
We're heading there, but we're not going to get all the way there, Dom. And what you're going to see is you're still going to have this stopping point with college football. I'm telling you, they're going to do everything they can, and who knows? Again,
let me ask you this.
I'll make you this deal as far as the national championship goes. You and I will cross that bridge when we come to it. If Ohio State wins the national championship, because I would agree with you. I would say, Tim, take your pick. Would you rather beat Michigan or win a national championship? I would say your goal is always to, win a national championship, but that is what still makes this special. That is what makes this great, is that winning game 12 of the regular season still also feels like a de facto national championship game, and no one feels great yet about even going to the college football playoff because you lost to those guys for a fourth straight year, and they weren't even very good this year, and you played down to their level of competition.
But the sanctity of that rivalry is changing because think about this. If Michigan becomes good again and Ohio State stays where they're at, they could meet in the 12th game. Then they could turn around the following week and meet again in Indianapolis.
I know.
And they could meet in the playoff. It's the sanctity of that rivalry. When you could play them 3 times, what are we talking about?
I mean, Duke and North Carolina do it in basketball. I know it's not the same sport,
not the same.
But I think it's about the uniforms. It's about the names. It's about Ohio State, Michigan, the helmets.
3 times.
They play it here.
Could be 3 times.
Indy. Yeah.
Could be 3 times.
How did we never see it when it was leaders and legends? Wasn't that crazy? Yeah. You thought we were going to see it,
Could be 3 times.
Right?
The sanctity of this rivalry is changing. The sport of college football is changing. And I'll go back. Ross Bjork is supporting his coach. I support that. I think Ryan Day's a great coach, and he's just got to, I think he's got to do some soul searching, and he's got to get some
win
things.
The rivalry game.
Got to win it, but the rivalry game is not the same. It's not the rivalry it was. And
but that's still whatever you say about college football changing. He himself says it that way.
Yeah, I know.
He himself agrees and says it that way. That's what you got to win first.
And maybe he's got to explore. Hey, you got to win the running game to win this.
No, you don't.
Maybe
you don't.
Maybe not.
Because you weren't going to win that running game.
All right. He's Tim Hall. 6 to 8, Monday through Friday, the Buckeye Show. I'm Dom Taberry. Keep it on 10 TV and 10 TV Plus.